Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Vo, and I am the Communications and Marketing Intern for Go Eat Give. We work to promote cultural awareness through food, sustainable travel, and education. I'm here with our guest and travel expert, Jennifer Wilson-Buttigieg. Is that correct?
Vijay?
Right, okay. From Valerie Wilson Travel. It is a family-owned travel operation with locations all around the country. And Miss Buttigieg here is
Oh,
also
Jennifer.
Jennifer, all right. Jennifer here is also the co-owner and co-president of the organization. So again, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. Thank you for having me, Laura.
Of course. So can you please go into depth about what your organization does for those who are not familiar with it?
Absolutely. I would say first and foremost, we're a small business. We're a family-owned company. We're a WEB certified woman-owned business. Very proud of that. My mom started a very small travel company 39 years ago. And today, or I should say before COVID, we were ranked number 38 in Travel Weekly, and we had 15 offices around the country and did sales of just shy of $360 million a year.
Wow.
So when people wonder if travel agents still exist, they not only exist, but they were thriving. And we handled corporate travelers, we handled leisure travelers, we would do safaris and cruises and destinational weddings. And one of the great ideas and themes that we play on is like people, fingerprints, they're different. Every traveler is different and unique. So we are here as advocates for travelers that want to get out and explore the world.
Oh yeah, so you guys just touch on all types of travel, all types of people throughout the whole region of the world and globe pretty much.
Absolutely. And what we've learned in this post-COVID world is how important relationships are. And it's relationships with airlines. So you have inside information and knowledge. Like last week, I went to LaGuardia and had a tour with Delta and the TSA and some of the Port Authority people to understand what this travel experience and travel ribbon is going to look like. It's relationships with hoteliers around the world to understand which properties are opening when and what's that experience going to be like in a hotel. It's working with our on-sites and our partners around the globe to say which museums are open, which restaurants are open. So it's this wonderful ecosystem of relationships, really, at the end of the day.
And I also have to second that because during a time of social distancing and having to do things online through a screen, having to build and maintain relationships is something that we really have to stress during this time.
Absolutely. And I think many people have said it. A crisis is not the time to build a relationship. A crisis is a time when you lean into those relationships. And it's because of the decades of experiences and having weathered other storms, 9/11, MERS, SARS, Ebola, ash cloud, and it's having had relationships with these people, business relationships, friendships, seeing the ups and downs of life, that you're not just a number, you're not just a business. There are tiers of relationships that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I completely agree with that. And I guess going into our questionings for today, so
Absolutely.
a lot of Americans have been, staying put for several months now, and the demand for travel is increasing day by day. People are wondering, when can I start going on my vacation? When can I start planning? When can I start taking my family out on these journeys? And we don't know when it's safe to travel, what's open, and how we can minimize the risk for ourselves and others during this time. So with all this going on, my first question is it advisable to travel in the US right now?
I'm not a medical expert. I'm a travel expert.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say here is absolutely. We have done what we needed to do during this pandemic. We have common sense. We're using best practices. And I would say if someone wants to travel, they should use an expert, they should use an advisor, and try to match up what they're looking for with expectations. Because there are people who would take 5-10 trips a year. Everyone has been home for 3 months. Everyone has this pent-up demand. We see increased numbers on websites right now with people looking, shopping, a little more on the booking, but bookings and travel is still so significantly down. And I want to come back to that point. But it's a person's individual choice. It's your tolerance for risk. And I don't mean like tolerance for risk. Would you travel to the Middle East in the middle of the Arab Spring? Certainly some people were. What is your tolerance as a normal human being? I mean, we all know we get the flu. We all know we get a cold. We all know on a vacation, people sometimes put things aside and want to skydive and scuba dive. You need to look at yourself and say, are you comfortable going to work? Are you comfortable going to your restaurant? Are you comfortable to visit a family member close to home? What do you want that first step to be? How do you want to put your toe in the water and try it? So yes, I'm an avid traveler. I used to travel about 50% of the year. So definitely a road warrior, always on the road. And I'm dying to get out, but I also had to follow the rules and the restrictions and the government suggestions. And for the time being, knowing that I'm in the tri-state area, my headquarters is in New York, I need to wear a mask. I wore a mask on the train on MTA to go to the city. I walked in my corporate headquarters where there was a thermal scanner. My temperature was fine. My building pass worked. I went up in an elevator with 4 little feet marks on the ground. Then I worked in my office because nobody else was there. I took my mask off. So it's common sense. It's hard to say yes or no, is it safe? You need to understand the person, the traveler, and the goals of what they're looking for. But I would absolutely say, as long as we look at resources and follow guidelines, definitely.
And I think that's also interesting usually with traveling, you always consider yourself, your interest, what do you want to do, maybe your personal budget, maybe the interest of those who are going on the vacation with you. But something new to add to the equation is those that are going to be there, those that are maybe not affiliated with your vacation, having to think about your health and others people's health. So that's something new to kind of consider when people are planning for their vacations this time around.
Absolutely. And I would say it has a lot of, it also has a lot to do with expectations. Say you want to go to the beach, or say you want to go to the pool. We now need to recognize that beach towels need to be 6 feet away, or pool chairs need to be 6 feet away, unless you're with a family member. If you're a foodie and you're dying to go to restaurants, it's trying to understand, are the restaurants open yet? And as we said in our pre-call, you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I'm in the New York City metro area. Very different experiences right now still. So it's starting to understand who's looking to go where and what that experience is. Are you a wellness person and dying to go to a spa? We can certainly sell you a trip to go somewhere, but we're not just selling you a trip. What we need to look at is the experience to be able to say, is that restaurant open? Is that beach open? Is that museum open? Is that spa open? And if not, pivot and say, do you want to go somewhere else? Or do you want to plan for this when things start to even further reopen right now?
Mm-hmm. So I guess going into our second question, abiding by the regulations, for COVID-19 now, what locations would you recommend visiting with the states that are opened? What places would you think are safe now and places that you would avoid for those who are wanting to travel?
And again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's different for every individual. I know for myself, I want to get on a plane and I want to go to Florida and I want to visit my dad. I want to make sure he's had some health issues and that he's doing well. Scotland, as many people have heard in on other sessions, is one of my happy places. I love to play golf. But right now, Scotland doesn't make sense because the UK still has a 14-day quarantine in place. And there aren't enough flights and flight lifts. So I think this is much like a puzzle. You need to do the 4 corners, the edges, and then fill in the middle. So the way I'm looking at this from my client's point of view is they're going to probably drive somewhere. And if you're in the Northeast, you're going to consider North Carolina and the Outer Banks. You're going to consider Maine, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. You're going to consider beach or mountains. If you're in the Midwest, you have lots of opportunities with the Great Lakes. In the West, you have obviously the national parks, which are getting a huge resurgence this year. And then you have the West Coast. I mean, from Oregon and Washington all the way down through California. So again, it depends what people are looking for. I think there is the opportunity. If people don't want to hop on a plane right now, I know I was dying to just get to the airport and see what it looked like, but not everybody has that same level of security with that. Mm-hmm. Airplanes are probably cleaner than ever, quite honestly. And they have their protocols out there, and it's our responsibility to educate the person. But I think people are going to just sort of dip their toe in the water, and they're going to try a long weekend. They're going to probably go back to something that they're comfortable with because they've traveled before and they want to recreate that memory. this entire COVID period, and where we've been social distancing and isolated, and some people have lost their jobs or had pay cuts, their favorite store's not open, their restaurant may not be open either. They're looking for some kind of confidence. They're looking for stability. And that comes from being able to do things that you want to do. And so I think a lot of people aren't going to go explore completely different things right now. They're going to go back to what's comfortable. Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yes. And touching on the topic of, a lot of these family businesses, individuals are affected during this time. Our organization's really pushing for sustainable travel, making a positive impact on the community wherever you go. So the one thing we just wanted to get your advice and your opinion on is those who are doing these road trips across the state. These big tourist attractions aren't open. You're not going to go into this park, this museum. Some plans are going to be canceled. But for those who are still wanting to go to the state or to this beach, how can they have a sustainable vacation? How can they make a positive impact on those communities when they go?
I think one of the greatest messages your organization, mine, and anyone in hospitality is reminding people that 1 in 10 jobs is tied to hospitality and global tourism. And that's not only globally, not just North America, not just globally. We need to look at that. So it's the bartender, it's the waiter, it's the housekeeper, it's the tour guide, it's the massage therapist, it's the housekeeper, and it's the travel advisor. It's the flight attendant. It's this entire ecosystem. So I'm a big believer in giving back. Valerie Wilson Travel, on our website, we have our giving tree. On our 35th anniversary 4 years ago, we started literally a tree. Some leaves are bigger and some are smaller. And we have several charities that we give to. So for instance, some are farther afield, like we help fund in Zambia and Uganda maternity wards.
Wow, okay.
As a mother-daughter business to help bring a healthy baby into the world with proper neonatal care is phenomenal. But closer to home, Meals for Heroes. In the middle of this COVID situation, even when all of our employees took pay cuts, we still were able to raise money to say, instead of that cup of coffee or Diet Coke you'd buy in the morning on your way to the office, take that $5, take that $10, and in a small way make a difference for some of the food banks here in New York City. So short-term initiative raised just shy of $3,000 in a very tough economic time when business has essentially stopped. We still feel that it is important to give back in big and small ways.
I definitely agree. And I think right now is a time where it's going to be something very important, where the community, not just local, but all communities across the state need to bind together to get out of this situation.
Absolutely. And I think it's our responsibility as humans, as leaders, to recognize what needs are and to speak honestly, do business decently, and give back where we can.
I definitely agree. And I guess going back to your first point that you made, the future of travel. Right now, a lot of things are happening, a lot of changes. And I've been reading a lot of different articles, different webinars saying that the future of travel is changing to a pace that we've probably never seen before. So what is your opinion on that? Where do you see travel going to?
I love this industry. There is no industry that unites people, different faith, different color, different ethnicity, different socioeconomic background. I love to travel. I love to experience things from different perspectives, and have been very fortunate to do so. I think travel is going to take some time to get back. I am still shocked, quite honestly. We've started seeing this in January when some of our manufacturing customers in China, there was a pullback of 6 to 8%. Come February, the aha for us was Milan. When Milan went into quarantine on that last weekend in February, and all of our fashion shows with high profile fashion names went into quarantine, that was like oh no, this is happening fast. By the first week in March, we started seeing everyone going into quarantine, offices going remote, and the entire travel ecosystem literally shrunk. And when you look at numbers from the TSA, where you would typically have 2 million travelers every day going through some type of TSA, and it went down into 40,000, that's a huge capacity for shrinking. That system doesn't just ramp back up. The lines need ports. The hotels need staff. I think it's going to take some time. I'm hopeful. I believe it's a resilient industry with passionate people. You're not passionate, and if you don't have the travel bug, you're not in it. And we're an industry that wants to serve, so it will come back. I think we need to remember, after other life-altering times like 9/11, different processes went into place. And they may have swung a little too far one way or the other because of initial reactions, but consumer confidence will come back. New protocols will go into place. We'll get used to wearing masks. But the desire for people to explore and see the world, I think, will continue to exist. The need for business people and corporate travelers to get back on the road, and maybe they're not doing a handshake anymore, but they want more than just a Zoom meeting. I don't have the date. Some people are saying first quarter 2021. Some people say internationally by the end of 2021. Some people throw out 22, 23, 24. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball on that. But what I do feel very comfortable about is travel has become a part of our lives. And it will come back to being a part of our lives in some form and shape.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. I know that though going to a destination and executing your vacation can be something exciting, but also the whole thought and method of planning out your vacation can be just equally as exciting as going to a new place. So
Absolutely. But I think travelers today, there's the do-it-yourselfers, and I get that. It's interesting to go online and shop, and I think the great web has given travelers the greatest ability to aggregate information and sort of weed in, weed out. But what's going to be even more important in this post-COVID landscape are travel advisors. Mm-hmm. And the advisors are going to be able to give you resources and links to say what countries are at what level, for the CDC to the WHO, what airlines are using which new cleaning mechanisms, what are the processes, is someone blocking a middle seat, how flexible, what are hotel cancellation policies. And it's not just what the hotel rate is. It's not about rate. That's important, but it's what's the experience going to be like. And when you speak to a professional travel advisor, they're going to probably say you should take out insurance because there are so many unknowns. And you don't want all the scary possibilities over here to outweigh that excitement of what a trip can be.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. I think it's good that now is going to be a time where we do rely on the experts. Let the experts do the job, pave
Absolutely.
the way. Mm-hmm. I do agree. And I also do agree that, travel, the yearning for travel is not going to die down anytime soon. If not, it's ramping up even more and more. So hopefully that's going to fuel back the travel industry to get back on its feet.
I think it's often tied to when something's taken away from someone, you almost want or desire it more. Mm-hmm. The need for connection, the need to be able to enjoy life, the ability to explore, the ability to connect with friends and family. Those are memories that you're actually going to be able to have the opportunity to create. And I definitely think travel will be back.
Well, again, thank you so much for your advice and your expertise on this. This is something really wonderful, and we're really excited to share this with our audience members. So again, thank you so much for your time today.
Laura, thank you. It was a real opportunity. I enjoyed going through the website, learning a little more about your organization, and please consider me a resource.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.